Mr. Eggplant presents.
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. And as I'm getting better, finally, we have some more Mythic Plus runs, and this was honestly an amazing run that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to change how I do this just a little bit, so we're going to look at the details first, and then dive into the key. Looking at the damage that we did for a group, we did 1.73 million on Oddwin, then myself was 1.65 million, Sai was at 1.58, Teach and Karm are approximately a million DPS combined. And we had some tremendous success, and this is a plus 12 timed Stonevault. So I'm officially all time 12s across the board, and I've been playing exclusively a Dark Ranger Marksman Hunter. So it'd be a 635 item level. Looking at my build, the build will be found down in the description of the video, but I am playing Dark Ranger. It's a pretty standard build over here on the right side. You do have to forego running with Streamline and Tactical Reload to buff up your multi-shot and Bullet Storm, and then to be able to get both Razor Fragments, Calling the Shots, and Salvo. And then I am playing a Dark Ranger, so it's a pretty standard build, but I had actually opted to try Soul Drinker. You guys know me, I'm not a real big fan of Soul Drinker, but I had several keys in a row where Shadowhounds did less than 1% of my total damage, so I figured, what the heck, let's try something else, because clearly that's not working the greatest. And then finally, things that I changed in my build. First off, I changed my circlet up just a little bit. It's 652 now. I opted to put a little bit of extra single target damage in there with Thunderlord's Crackling Citrine. Fathomdweller is the same, and then I switched to Windsinger's Rune Citrine. These don't sim the best in Mythic Plus, pure stats does, but I've seen some really great value out of this, including giving me more crit, which I needed in my build, still having a high amount of mastery, but then also leading the way to changing up one of my trinkets and just adding that little bit more single target damage, which is something that Marksman Hunter needs, since we do really good at AoE, and then we need a little bit of help with single target, and it really has helped. It did about 4.5% of my damage. And the trinket that I'm actually using is the Wayward Vrykul Lanturn. So I thought this might be like a meme trinket, or just, you know, something that's a bait. I've had a tremendous amount of value out of this, honestly. It gives you a large amount of main stat. It caps out at 606, so that does suck. But it gives you on-demand crit when you need it most, which is during True Shot. And it says it goes for 8 seconds, but it can go up to 40 seconds based on when you used your True Shot last. In a key, I have approximately 20 seconds of uptime, 20 to 25, somewhere in there, on that extra amount of crit. And it actually gives you more crit than like the Empowering Crystal of Anubicage does, for example. So if you are not somebody who has like a mythic, I'll make a mythic Queen's Mandate, or a mythic, forget the trinket from, let me see, I swear I've done this before. The trinket off of Kaiveza, there we go. The Void Reaper's Contract, it's a really, really good trinket if you can get that at Mythic Track. I've been seeing a ton of value out of it, so I hope you guys will at least give it a go on your Hunter, and maybe even take it to keys. So at a 635 item level, this is the damage breakdown that we had in my run. Black Arrow is king, but it's much lower than it had been now that they had fixed the bug where it was causing it to do obscene amounts of damage, but still does really great damage. And with the amount of crit that we have in our build, coupled with our abilities in our tree, I had it crit like 70% of the time. It was pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. There we go. So the main ability there that's critting about 64% of the time, 80% on these, and then this one is 12%. I'm not entirely sure which one that one is, but it looks more like the AoE dot, or the dot ticks. And then aim shot rapid fire, still getting good damage, but keep in mind rapid fire is doing 15% less damage since we don't have streamline. And then, unlike Sentinel, you see a ton of abilities kind of like sandwiched right there. We have 7 abilities. Honestly, we have 9 abilities doing 6 or more percent of my damage. Shadow Surge and Bleak Powder were buffed in 11.07. They're a little bit lower than they normally are, but you do see that Thunderlord's Crackling Citrine coming in clutch. It did only 3.5% of my total damage, but if you want to check out, like I did a City of Threads as well. Let me bounce this one up here, and it did like 4.2%, so it can still do like 100 million damage. That's well over a couple of trinkets worth of damage, or at least maybe not trinkets worth, but it's definitely like 3 or 4 times what the other ring that I'm using, which is all the way down here with that Seal of the Poison Mind from Queen Ansurek. All right, make sure I'm looking at the same one again. So getting some really good varied damage, and I don't have to worry about positioning at all. I'm just sending cooldowns and enjoying every second of it, and I honestly feel stronger defensively when I am playing Dark Ranger, thanks to Smokescreen, versus when I'm playing Sentinel. And then looking at some of my buff uptime. So buff uptime on Dawnthread lining, 81%. So really good uptime there, and that's a credit to the entire group because everybody can heal me in our runs. They're doing an amazing job. Steady Focus, I've been really trying to do a better job of using Steady Shot as I'm running up to the mobs. It's 78% there, so good uptime there. I'd like to see it above 80, but I'll take that. The Wayward Vrykul Lanturn, so even though I only have it up during True Shot, I still had it up for 25% of a dungeon. That's probably a little bit on the lower side. The Empowering Crystal of Nubicage is usually around 40 to 45%, but I'm getting that crit when I need it most, which is during True Shot. It's like another active passive trinket, which I love. You guys know me, the last time I was using one, I can't get enough of those. I wish they would do more of those. But then it allows you to crit more, and you get a ton more value with crit as a Dark Ranger, at least in my opinion, than you even do as Sentinel, because so many of your abilities are there just to proc more of your kill shots, or not kill shots, to proc your Black Arrow. And Black Arrow already has a high chance to crit, and those things are hitting like trucks and going out constantly. And because of that, I really have had a ton of fun with the Vrykul Lanturn. Now, if I get a different trinket, maybe that's a different story, but I don't, and I've been playing this one, and my damage has actually gone up, all things considered there. And then real quick, anything else I need to point out? Oh, so I don't really have to worry about the uptime of any of the trinket or the citrines, because I really only have the one that procs damage, and the others are just a complete stat stick. It's allowed me to get my stats back where I wanted it, above like 40+% crit. My haste is still fine. It's probably a little on the low side if I'm being honest. I'd actually switched the stats on my neck piece and went back to mastery, and I've seen a ton of improvement in my damage there. And then 30.6% increased damage of all of my focus spinning abilities thanks to my mastery. So all in all, I'm really enjoying my Marksman Hunter right now. I hope you guys enjoy this run. I talked a little bit longer than I thought I would, but I'm sure I'll put a timestamp down below that goes right to the key. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Congratulations to my group on the last 12 we needed at a time, and currently as of me recording this, my IO is 2966. We are so close. We just need about 2 13s and we will be at 3K. So let's go ahead and throw it over to the key, and thank you guys so much for watching. All right, so this is the first key back from me being sick, so we're going to see if I can make it through here without coughing. So this is going to be a +12 timed Stonevault, and like I just said, this was actually the first one that we had added to the collection in quite some time, so congratulations to my entire group. So we're going to pull here at the very beginning, we're going to pull the first 3 packs, and then we're going to go ahead and send Lust. I am playing a Dark Ranger Marksman Hunter, so what I'm doing is prioritizing those black arrows whenever they are up in AoE, so you want to make sure and use one of your abilities, whether that be volley or whether that be multi-shot, to get trick shots, and it does not consume it. So you can sit there, and if it completely gives you another one thanks to another death blow proc, which our black arrow can proc itself with a death blow, you can spam it a bunch. And as you saw there, 4.8 million DPS for that entire first pull. And the build is all down in the description of the video if you guys missed out on the first little section there. And then there will be timestamps for the first section, which I kind of went over everything, and then for each of the bosses. So my goal each and every time I come into one of these keys, as we've talked about basically ad nauseum now, is that I want to use my true shot as much as possible. With the average true shot on a Dark Ranger is longer, or the cooldown I should say, is longer than our Sentinel counterparts. So that's one of the reasons you get more damage from Sentinel as well, is that you're just flat out getting more true shots out in a dungeon. But I want to make sure and use it as much as possible, and then I want to make sure and have it up for bosses and priority targets, and or burn phases for that matter. So we opted to pull the golems before E.D.N.A mode, because we had found out that they are the ones when they die that actually spawns the boss. So to save just a little bit of time, we opted to pull both of these. Now, did I get a ton of value out of my true shot? No, because I wasn't able to cleave effectively. But you know what? It is what it is, and I really appreciate Teach's willingness to say, you know what? No, maybe we need an extra, 4 or 5 seconds here, and that difference compounded for the entire key could be the difference between timing a key and not, because we've been very close on this, and I'm so glad that we finally have it down. So I haven't talked too much about my rotation. It's pretty standard stuff. So when I'm running up to the target, I'm going to use my steady shot, because my goal is to have as high uptime of that free 8% haste as possible, particularly on a Dark Ranger. So I run up there, then I'm going to probably drop my explosive shot and volley, then true shot if I have it up, and then go kill shot, or I should say black arrow if I have that up. That way I'm going to be cleaving and getting that bleak arrow damage from that. And then I'm following up with a rapid fire aim shot, and then anytime my black arrow procs, it will be sent, or at least it should be. And something that I've actually learned from these last several runs, I found I was not staying on targets that were almost dead. I'm missing out on complete bonus damage from my my black arrow. So that's something that I need to do a better job of. Instead of just switching to the target that has the most health and continuing to cleave off that, I realized I should probably be kind of milking my spec for all it's worth and killing more targets with my my black arrow, because of course I can spread that as well. So on E.D.N.A, we opted to not break all of the whatever these are called, stalactites. No, tights are tight to the ceiling, so these are stalagmites. There we go. The Earth Shatterer comes out here. I'm going to go ahead and use my turtle just to make sure I get it on cooldown. And E.D.N.A's already at approximately 65% health, and the next volatile spikes will come out. So you'll see there that Oddwin and I will try to put those, like, kind of stack them on top of each other almost, so I can break both of them fairly easily. Now, it doesn't always pick me. It picks 3 players that aren't the tank, and sometimes I will be the player, or Oddwin will be the player that won't get one, and that's okay. So we've just tried different things in these keys to make it easier for us to help with the spiky damage, no pun intended. Karm does a great job even if we're not doing that, but it definitely makes her life easier, which in turn makes our life easier. And we're at less than 50% now. My true shot is coming up. I'm going to let everything kind of settle there, and then I used my true shot then into rapid fire, disengage back there, which actually did a little bit of damage, but I don't try to min-max that by any stretch of the imagination. I want to be able to hit both of these spikes, and I'm keeping my my haste buff up as much as possible, even though, as you see right now, I don't have one, but now I do. Thank you. So something I should have done there was use my black arrow first and then do the aim shot, because the aim shot has a 15% chance. I believe it's 15. Maybe it's 25. It's 15 or 25 to get you another Deathblow proc, which will allow you to send more of those coveted black arrows. And based on your guys' feedback, I'm going to continue to add more to these videos. So please, if there is more feedback you guys would like to give, please, I would encourage you to do that. I really appreciate it when you guys let me know what works better for you. And based on feedback, I went back to damage done per pull instead of doing the overall DPS. And then I have opted to, let's see, what else did I do? I did that, and then I changed my macro, because for the longest time, the macro for Black Arrow was still kill shot. And I had a ton of people have questions about that, so I opted to change it back to just showing Black Arrow. It'll probably give us problems when we go back to Sentinel for whatever reason for things, and then it'll show that I have Black Arrow, and it'll confuse the heck out of people again. It is what it is, I suppose. I can't win. But we're going to do a double pull here, and I'm just going to be cleaving off of my target, which was going to be Circle. That was my interrupt, but we didn't have to worry about it. And we are absolutely munching these guys. We are moving through them very, very quickly. You can definitely tell when you get a bunch of kills. I'm going to keep doing that because it says kill shot. Of those Black Arrow procs, whenever we get those death blows, you can definitely feel it. You can also definitely feel it when you don't get them. So it is a boom or bust build. And I know if you guys are watching this video and you're like, oh, he only did 1.65 million DPS, you should be able to do 2 or 2.2 or whatever. It really just depends on a few things. One, how quick is your dungeon group pulling? Do you have a Xal'atath buff? We don't have that. We have Xal'atath's Guile now. And then also, it depends on the dungeon itself, because not all dungeons are easily just massacrable like Necrotic Wake is, for example. And it just depends on how big the pulls are. We had some pretty big pulls, but I could always do better. And you guys know me. I try to better myself every time I come into one of these dungeons. And I feel like over these last couple of weeks, even though I haven't been very active online, like with recordings, I have definitely still been trying to be the best marksman hunter I can be on any given day. I am actually striving to be the #1 marksman hunter on my server cluster now. It's just between me and one other guy. So the howlers are important to interrupt there. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the piercing whale. One of them goes out is fine, 2 is not. Salvo, if you get hit by that, you're probably just dead. And censoring gear, that puts a silence on whoever is hit by it. So if that's on your healer, you probably want to kick that. So we have basically 3 pulls until we get to the boss. So I'm looking, I can probably get another full true shot out, maybe 2. So on this set, which is perfect for us because it is a 3-target cleave fight, I'm going to go ahead and just send everything I can, and we're going to have 1 pack in the inside room here that's going to have the pat and 1 that does not. What Teach tends to do is he will go to wherever the pat is not and then just let the pat in. And we've seen a tremendous amount of success, and it actually makes the pulls a little bit easier, and that way we don't have, like just an extra big mob that can use a void outburst like you see here, for example. We are all trying to not use our cooldowns here. I should have just went ahead and popped my Fortitude at the bear early. But there's the spoiler is going to go through there. Actually, didn't realize he actually just said heck with it and grabbed him. So he just made me look like a dummy. Anyway, I used my multi-shot. That way I could get my my Black Arrow to cleave. Then I dropped down my explosive shot, volley, true shot, and we're off to the races. During the whenever I drop my volley, I'll use that first GCD and volley to just send a Black Arrow if it's available. I found that it's just burst damage, and on Skarmorak here, which is going to be this next boss, this has probably been my best pull on Skarmorak. Skarmorak is not a boss that I do amazing at. I understand the fight, and I always seem to be out of position or just putting myself in a bad position for one reason or another. And I feel like I did a pretty good job. So this will be exciting to go back and watch and see exactly what I did. Even if it was, and I did mention this in the key, you don't hear comms, but I did mention to him that I had the ability to cast my Black Arrow every time we were switching targets. And that amount of burst damage made it easier for Odwin, where he could stay on the boss more. It made it easier for me because I felt like I was actually getting damage on it, because normally I would turn around, cast my aim shot, and then the thing dies when I'm mid cast, so I just wasted all that time. That's something that does happen, particularly when you don't have high haste. I should have more haste than I do, but I had opted to do a heavy mastery build, and it seemed to work pretty well for me. So we're gonna lust on Skarmorak, and here we go. Get my steady shot, steady focus buff up there. Use my explosive shot, kill shot, true shot. Here comes volley, and then here we go. So using my black arrow as much as possible, and then otherwise spamming aim shot and spamming rapid fire. I actually had a really high burst there. That's crazy. I didn't realize I had actually bursted that high. So and if you're looking up there at my buffs, I just now lost that bonus amount of crit. So I had it up for almost 30 seconds. That's a huge amount of bonus crit when I need it most, which is why it's kind of a meme trinket, but it's also something that serves me pretty well. And I wish that the item level of it would go up. If it could, it would be even better. But I haven't looked at what sims look like on it. But I'm enjoying it, and I will continue to use it until I get something that I would deem better. So the next volley goes out, and I'm going ahead and sending volley because more often than not, after Crystalline Smash comes down and all these come out, I tend to kill them. I tend to cleave them. And I was saving it exclusively to cleave them, and then I realized I may have been inadvertently killing us or helping in our demise. So here I was able to use my black arrow right away. Aim shot, black arrow again. Didn't really need to worry about it. And then we're on to the second set of crystals. We found the sweet spot for Skarmorak's health pool for the damage that we typically bring to one of these keys. If he has 140 million health after this last fortified shell, then we can just focus the boss. And I'm going to go ahead and run over here and grab this last one, which actually doesn't look like I got a hold of it. Looks like it did die just before that. So that's on me. I say this was a really good run for me for this boss. That doesn't mean it wasn't perfect. So I need to do a better job of making sure that I'm standing nearby to my orbs. So there's the crystal shards, able to melt one of those really fast and then dodge this. See here, like I took the wrong step. I don't know why I didn't just run over there. So in fact, as you just saw, I got none until I went and grabbed this one. So somebody else took my shard, or my buff, but that was on me. I should have went and I should have grabbed it. So just little things like that can be the difference between getting some what I would perceive as orange parses versus purple parses, for example, in a Mythic Plus situation. So here we had a great amount of time to just do some burst damage on this guy. I'm going to go ahead and use my potion there so I don't die. And we burned through the shield. And now we made the call to ignore the geode ads and then just kill boss. If the orbs come out, you can go grab one. But all in all, it doesn't really matter. And I really do feel that having Black Arrow on this fight was a huge blessing. Alright, so I wasn't the top damage. I was actually the third. I started really high, and then I kind of fell off throughout the dungeon. But if you guys have seen some of my other Stonevault runs, I felt like I did a much better job there. So all in all, the Dark Ranger experiment is feeling pretty good right now. And we're moving over to the Forge Speakers. We don't have any deaths yet. We do have I think maybe one or maybe two. I think it might have just been one at the end. But all in all, this was an amazing run. I'm really proud of my group. All right, so we got this pull here, and this is where we're asking Teach, hey, are you going to be pulling the loader in? Which he is. Then I'm going to use explosive shot, then volley, then true shot, then rapid fire, aim shot, and then any of those black arrows. I tend to cleave off of the forge loader. That way I'm the one who calls out when the frontal is happening. So I got called an add-on because that was what between Teach and I, we were both just calling that out as you go. It's a very he turns around and shoots a Kamehameha wave of, lava in your way. But in the grand scheme of things, you're doing like a million things right now, and having one person that's just hey, he's turned, then it allows you to look and see which way he's turned, or just to move to the back side of the ad. So a good amount of damage, like 173 million damage there, just popped out really fast. We have a huge pull now. Now, I don't have True Shot, but it doesn't matter, because we have the ultimate cooldown called Cybillum. This dude is going to massacre this pack. So use my kill shot. I use a bit of a defensive there, explosive shot, volley, rapid fire. It doesn't matter. This dude is gonna just absolutely zoom. Here he goes. He got all of his procs off there. Use that ascendance, and he's gonna hit. Does he hit 8 million? He gets real close. Oh, he did. He hit 8.8 million. Like, that is some crazy damage, my friend. And at this point, what I could have done, and what I did do, is I used Binding Shot whenever Teach asked for it, but Sai had also used his Earth Elemental to help with this pack. Because this pack is, I'm not saying that Teach can't deal with it, because he can, but it's hard on a 12 or higher or whatever whenever you pull all of them. One person in your group or multiple people have to be melting these bosses and or have an out for you, which we did in the form of high DPS, and then also having the elemental. So we're going to pull this, and then eventually we're going to have the loader that's going to come over here. We would prefer the loader get pulled in the pack over to our right, but it's padding over now, so there is Teach to grab it. We melted most of this pack here thanks to me, since I had cooldowns this time around. And then we're just going to make those same calls. So we're going to be off of the loader here. I just run straight through it. That may catch me, in a bad way if that were to happen. Where it clips me or something like that, it thinks that I'm in front, but I just continually run through it, and so then I don't have to worry about it. And then we're just calling it out so Sai can dodge. And then we don't pull the double loader pack, because that double dot that they put out, if it hits one person, you're probably just flat out dead. It does so much damage. There's the mortar didn't get picked. It looks like Karm's got it on her this go around. But we're going to finish off this pack here, and then we're going to move into the pack that's right in front of the Forge Speakers. And then the Forge Speakers is a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun, particularly on Dark Ranger, because you don't have to worry about your positioning nearly as much as it pertains to using your rapid fire and getting high uptime on Lunar Storm. I know that Lunar Storm, I believe, is going to be following your target as of 11.1, which, by the way, I will have some 11.1 videos and PTR videos. I'm hoping this weekend, but we're gonna see how that goes. And I'm gonna opt here on this pull to not use True Shot. I used everything else but True Shot. This is one of those lone situations where I wanted it up for the boss to get good damage, because this trash pack's gonna die. I don't need True Shot to help it out. I mean, it will help it, but I would much rather have it on the Forge Speakers. And in fact, Karm mentioned at the end of this, and again, you can't hear comms, but we just ran this key 3 hours ago now at this point, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind, where this was probably the best Forge Speakers key or fight that we had done. So again, shout out to Sai, Oddwin, Karm, Teach, and myself for really putting in the work and having a ton of fun in this key. So we're going to use our volley, then I use my potion, True Shot, and then I'm sending aim shot and rapid fire as much as I can. If I get a black arrow, I will use that. Otherwise, we are just going to be melting the boss. And I'm going to stay on Brock at the beginning here. Scrap Song comes out, then I'm the one in charge of getting that interrupt. And then we're going to be back on Dollarita, as I call it. So it's Brock Lesnar and Dollarita. Those are my shorthand for these. The lava cannon, everybody did an amazing job of dodging those, and then also baiting them when we needed to as well. So Dorlita goes to the middle there. Here I'm going to use a defensive, which is going to be survival of the fittest here, and then back to business as usual. The next thing, it's going to go Brock, then Dorlita, then Brock, then Dorlita. And then intermittently in between, as we're seeing right now, we have the Flame Vents. And I think it was actually, and I'm going to go ahead and use one of my potions here. You'll notice I do have my Fathomdwellers as well. I'll get the interrupt there, so that'll bring Brock back into our pile here. I will use those, and I found that if they do share a cooldown with your tempered potion, so do keep that in mind as we dodge that and move over to this area. This tends to be the really bad overlap as well, because this fire hasn't gone out yet, and this is where I'm telling my group I am using turtle. Just ignore me. That way you can put heals and you can put defensives on somebody else. And then Karm had the communism totem for good measure. And we want to make sure that Brock and Dollarita has dies about the same time, because they, like, even if it's like a couple million different, they can just flat out one shot teach, and that's it, because he's going to turn, smack us. We're all stacked on top of each other, and that's it. I have to go out of the comfort zone over there to make sure I get the interrupt on Brock. Dollarita's at actually lower now at 58 million. Brock was at 73, I believe. But we're just looking at their health pools, since Dollarita has a ton more health than Brock does, so it does tend to get skewed pretty badly. But like I started talking about, I will use those Fathomdwellers as just another defensive, and it's actually been a godsend on a bunch of these runs. But Dollarita goes down, Brock goes down, and that was our cleanest by far. So 1.29 million DPS for that. Everybody was right neck and neck. Oddwin was the big winner of this dungeon. He just finds ways to stay on top of the charts, and he's doing an amazing job. And doing it with an amazing human Mog. I can't believe I'm saying that, but here we are. And this is the point where Teach is going, oh, go, get over here, and I knew exactly what he was going to be asking for before he asked. So that Rock Smasher was in a good spot. Whenever it gets to the apex of its pat, we will typically have me pull it into this Honor Guard pat. For one, he's not connected to that pack that's in there, so that's one less thing we have to deal with while we're fighting it. But it's now 3 targets, so I really appreciate Teach's efforts to give me 3 targets to cleave. Yes, it helps my damage as a player, and it makes me feel good when I do more damage, but it also helps our group. Because Marksman does require 3 targets to cleave outside of volley, and because of that, they do have to change how we pull the dungeons a little bit to get the most out of my damage, which will in turn help our group. But these guys are almost down here. We try to bounce them back and forth. There is our death. Oddwin got the death, which means clearly we're going to time this key now. I'm so glad that he took the fall for us, because he knew I was going to if he didn't. So shout out to Oddwin there. And then the Smasher's down, so I tend to cleave off of that guy. For one, he came in later. He has a lot more health than the Honor Guard, so if I can cleave off of it, there's 3 targets for longer, and we can deal with the other guys the Honor Guard fairly easy. We got 4 targets here, nothing too crazy. You got the Mender, and then that's the 1 caster, and then the 2 Honor Guards. So there's 4 targets, so it allows us to cleave without an issue. If you want to interrupt something, there's the Alloy Bolts. They don't do too much damage, but they do target random people in your party. I'm going to opt to use my True Shot here, because I know I can use it probably 2 more times before the boss. We have this pack. We have the pack on the stairs, and then we have 2 packs inside in front of the Void Speaker. And the guards, since they run away, and I believe they do have significantly more health, so they do stay up a lot longer. I'm not able to cleave at this point, but we're going to go ahead and help that by bringing in this pack here. The Earth Shapers are going to drop the Earth Burst Totem, and you also want to interrupt the Stonevaults if possible, because they are a tank buster. They absolutely just massacre your tank. So if you can get as many of those interrupted as possible, you'll save defensives. You may even save your key. And then these guys are melting pretty fast. The casters, they don't have a ton of health in comparison to the Honor Guard. But that was not a normal pull that we do. And here's the Earth Bust Totem. If that goes off, you're done. Like, you're just done. And that's another thing I wanted to point out too. As a Dark Ranger, I was able to use my Black Arrow for those, and it made it significantly easier to get some burst AoE or burst single target damage. And that's something that I was honestly struggling with a lot as I'm moving away from the stairs here. That way we don't have stair physics, and it gives the group more time or more to move around. Just in general. So those guys melted pretty fast. We had a couple of people with cooldowns. The Rock Smasher, you can see I have a debuff on me right now next to our sated buff underneath our normal buffs. And every time they does the big kind of slam ability, which is Smash Rock here, it will add another stack. And unfortunately, it's every like 28 seconds, and the buff or the debuff lasts 29 seconds. So it does stacking damage as well, kind of like the slam on the big Nerubian in front of the last boss in I about said Ashgahet, whatever that one is, that escapes me. Well, we'll talk about it in a second. Either way, it's just that one key that I really need, that we needed a 13 will easily time it. Yeah, I am so set on just doing Stonevault that I completely forgot what that dungeon was. And that's pretty sad. But we pulled this pack, and he immediately did his slam, which it made our stacks go up one more point there. So now we're at 4 stacks. So it's if we would have just waited another 10 seconds, we would have only had 2 stacks at this point. It's not that big of a deal. Like, we know that we can survive this, but it's pretty freaking close now. So that's something that we would probably be cognizant of in the future. But the Smasher's down. We are at full enemy forces, 6 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Let's go ahead and finish this dungeon. And I'm actually I'm on Raider.io because I can't think of that Arakara. Oh my god, I can't believe that it took me that long. Anyway, I had all of my cooldowns ready to go for Void Speaker, and I went ahead and I used my turtle early on there, so I don't have to take the first corruption. It's very important to move as soon as you can whenever you're dropping those circles. The first couple of Void corruptions that you have to get rid of are kind of rough because you don't have enough portals to deal with that, but we prioritize Karm for sure. And then we kind of just go as needed at that point. So I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to go ahead and use defensive. As you can see, I use one of my survival of the fittest. Boom, I can go ahead and move that there. Make sure I don't die to the frontal there. You can actually outrange it, but it's a lot longer than you think it's going to be. I tested it. It's about 52 yards, but you can do it on your hunter should you need to. You want to drop these rings as best you can because they drop the poop on the ground, and then go back towards the center. The Void Corruption goes out. There's the frontal that we want to avoid. I'm looking at where the closest portal is going to be, and I'm going to go ahead and run over here because I know that Karm, when she needs to get rid of hers, is actually pretty close. So that went to the other one, which actually Oddwin went over and got that one. We had some kind of a bad overlap here. Everybody did a nice job of just moving out of the way. Oddwin goes into the poop to drop his poop. That was clutch on his part. And in fact, we actually do this boss without Lust because we had already used it previously, and we were moving much faster than we had been used to. We got to this point with about a minute to spare on our best pull prior to this, and we're at 4 minutes left, and Void Speaker's almost dead. I say it all the time, but I am so proud of my group. We did an amazing job. In fact, we timed a 12 Stonevault, and then we timed a 12 City of Threads as well. Karm and I had already done last week, that should be a video out hopefully sometime soon. But now the entire group has done 12s or higher, so congratulations everybody. Void Speaker is at 23%, basically in bullseye range. Looking at True Shot, I didn't think I was going to have my True Shot back up, so I went ahead and opted to manually use that. I'm going to use my turtle here so I avoid that corruption damage. Disengage back there does a little bit of damage to the boss, but again, not really what I'm after. Use my Exhilaration, my Black Arrow. I should have went ahead and just used True Shot there, but what the heck, used my potion. And congratulations on our latest timed 12. Again, this is where we're clapping. I am so proud of my group. We have a Dawnbreaker 13 we're probably going to give a go again later on this week. I have more keys lined up sometime tomorrow. I hope you guys will enjoy this video, and be sure and leave me your feedback, your comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for getting me to 10K, and I will see you guys next time.